Norway is a small country when we look at its population. Only about 5.2 million people live there. However, it is a very large country in terms of land size, about 385,000 square kilometers. Much of Norway's land is harsh, with many mountains, deep valleys, and a very cold climate. The soil is thin, and the season for growing crops is very short. This kind of land does not make it easy to feed many people. In fact, only about 2.2% of Norway's land can be used for farming. This is one of the lowest rates in the world. Also, the small areas suitable for farming are not together. They are scattered in tiny valleys between huge mountains. This has always made it hard to build large, efficient farms like in many other countries. Because of these natural problems, people throughout history often thought Norway was or should be a poor country. A common idea is that Norway was poor until the late 1960s. That is when a lot of oil was discovered in the North Sea. Many people believe this oil changed everything and quickly made Norway rich and prosperous. This idea is very popular. But the truth is more interesting. Oil did not actually make Norway rich. It only made Norway even richer than it already was. Contrary to what many think, Norway was a wealthy country for most of its history, long before any oil was found. This early wealth came from different parts of its unique geography, which seemed challenging but offered hidden benefits. We will explore these benefits in the coming chapters. 2. Riches from the sea and forest. Norway's land has many high mountains and deep fjords. These made it hard to travel by land for a long time. But these same fjords were very good for travel by sea. Norway has one of the longest coastlines in the world because of all its fjords. This long coastline helped people travel between towns by boat. It also helped them learn to be good sailors and fishermen. This led to a strong culture of the sea. The fjords also made it easy to reach Norway's large forests in the country's inner parts. For many centuries, Norway was a big leader in selling wood in Europe. Workers cut down trees and put them into rivers. The rivers carried the wood down to sawmills located along the fjords. These sawmills used water power to cut the wood. After that, the wood was put on ships and sent to other countries. Because of its many islands and spread-out towns, Norwegians learned to work together. They often built ships as a community. Everyone helped, from the people who cut the trees to those who built the ship parts. Ownership of these important ships was shared among many people in the town. This way of working together helped spread wealth and power. It meant that a few rich people did not control everything, unlike in some other European countries. This cooperative spirit helped Norway grow. Even before oil was found, Norway was becoming a wealthy country. By the 1850s, Norway's economy was stronger than most countries in Eastern Europe. By the 1880s, it was doing better than all of Southern Europe. Around 1900, Norway's wealth was more than Italy's. By 1938, long before oil, Norway's economy was even richer than countries like Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. 3. Power from water. Norway has many rivers. They start high in the mountains and fall steeply towards the fjords and the sea. These rivers receive abundant rain from western winds. Their steep drops and powerful waterfalls hold a massive amount of kinetic energy, just waiting to be used. Norway has one of the highest potentials for hydroelectric power in the entire world. Starting around the year 1905, Norway began to capture this water power. They invited foreign companies who had more expertise to come and build modern hydroelectric dams. Dozens, then hundreds of hydropower stations were constructed all across the country. This quickly led to a major economic boom. By 1920, Norway was using more electricity per person than any other country in the world. Over 2/3 of its people already had access to electricity, which was double the rate in the United States at that time. Today, these stations generate an overwhelming 95% of all of Norway's total electricity. Norway is now the 7th largest producer of hydropower worldwide. This huge amount of energy, available to a small population, allowed Norwegians to build very energy-intensive factories. The country became known for specializing in refined aluminum production. The company Norsk Hydro, for example, is today one of the largest aluminum companies in the world. It still gets most of its energy from Norway's hydropower. This industry helped Norway become the biggest producer of aluminum in Europe and the 8th largest globally. When these dams were first built, large foreign companies dominated the industry. Norway was smart about this. They lacked a lot of their own money and technical knowledge, so they needed foreign investors. However, Norway wanted to keep control of its own resources, so they set up special rules. These rules stated that any hydroelectric power stations and mines built and funded by foreign companies would have to be given over to the Norwegian government after a period of 60 to 80 years of operation, without any payment. This plan allowed foreign companies to earn a good profit for many years, giving them a reason to invest. But in the long run, the Norwegian state knew it would gain full control. Because of these smart, long-term rules, today over 90% of Norway's hydropower capacity is owned by the public. This wise approach helped Norway become a wealthy, industrialized, democratic, and low-corruption state even before oil was discovered. 4. Finding black gold. For a long time, many people thought there was no oil or gas under the North Sea near Norway. In fact, in one official letter from the Geological Survey of Norway in 1958, experts said clearly that finding any oil or gas in Norway's part of the continental shelf was impossible. But things changed quickly. Just 1 year later, in 1959, a very big natural gas field was found nearby in the Netherlands. It was called the Groningen field. This was one of the largest gas fields ever found in Europe. This big discovery made people around Europe think again. Maybe there was black gold hiding in the unexplored North Sea after all. 3 years later, in 1962, an American company called Phillips was the first to ask the Norwegian government if they could look for oil and gas. They wanted to explore in the Norwegian section of the North Sea. However, there was a problem. Nobody really knew where Norway's section of the sea actually was. The maritime borders between all the surrounding nations had not been legally decided yet. Luckily for Norway, a good agreement was made in 1965. The government of the United Kingdom quickly agreed with Norway to divide the continental shelf beneath the North Sea. They used a simple rule, a median line drawn exactly in the center between their land territories. This quick calculation included all of Norway's thousands of islands along its western coast. This shifted the boundary line a bit westward. This was a very good deal for Norway. Decades later, it meant that when the massive Statfjord oil field was discovered, 85% of it would be within Norway's area, bringing billions of dollars in extra oil revenue. Soon after agreeing with the British on the median line, the Norwegian government began giving licenses to larger and more experienced foreign companies to search in their waters. Phillips was one of these companies. Some oil was first found in 1967 at a field called Balder, but it was not considered economically ready for production then. Then, just before Christmas Day in 1969, Phillips delivered incredible news to the Norwegian government and its people. They had discovered the Ekofisk oil field. This turned out to be one of the largest offshore oil fields ever found anywhere in the world. This news was like the greatest Christmas gift in Norway's long history. Production from Ekofisk began only 2 years later, in 1971. Many more important oil and gas fields were found across the Norwegian Sea in the years that followed. 5. A smart oil plan. When Norway found oil, it already had a smart plan for managing natural resources. The country had learned important lessons from its water power industry. For many years, foreign companies helped build hydroelectric dams in Norway. But Norway set clear rules. These rules stated that after 60 to 80 years, the dams would become the property of the Norwegian government without payment. This careful approach allowed Norway to use foreign investment and expertise while still keeping long-term control of its valuable energy sources. Norway applied this same clever strategy to its new oil and gas industry. Almost immediately after the first oil started flowing, the government created its own state-owned oil company. They named it Statoil. This was a key step to ensure national control. The government made specific rules for foreign companies wanting to explore and drill for oil. Statoil had to own more than 50% of every production license given out. This rule was smart. It still gave foreign oil companies a reason to invest their money and share their advanced technology. At the same time, Statoil gained valuable real-world experience. By working closely with these experienced international companies, Statoil learned how to find, extract, and manage offshore oil fields. This setup helped Statoil grow quickly and become a leader in the industry. Over time, Statoil became even bigger and changed its name to Equinor. Today, Equinor is a major global energy company. It produces about 70% of all the oil and gas from Norway's continental shelf. The Norwegian government still holds a large stake, owning 67% of Equinor. This continuous control shows Norway's long-term vision. Norway also used its deep history in shipbuilding. For centuries, Norwegians were skilled at building strong vessels for the sea. These skills were perfect for the challenges of offshore oil. Building massive oil platforms and complex underwater equipment needed special knowledge. Norwegian companies, with their experience, were able to quickly master these new tasks. For example, a company called Subsea 7, now a world leader in underwater oil infrastructure, was partly founded by a Norwegian shipbuilding company. This blend of old skills and new technology made Norway very good at working in the North Sea. This careful planning and smart rules helped Norway to build a strong oil industry that benefited the whole country. It made sure the oil wealth was managed responsibly for future generations, avoiding common problems seen in other oil-rich nations. 6. The world's biggest savings account. Norway's path with its oil wealth is different from many other oil-rich nations. Even though it became a major oil producer, Norway kept its strong democracy and low levels of corruption. This was not by chance. The country already had a history of communal ownership and a stable government before oil. This prepared them to manage new wealth wisely. The country learned an important lesson in the 1980s. The price of oil fell suddenly, and Norway's economy, which relied heavily on oil, faced a recession. This economic problem showed that depending only on oil was risky. The government realized they needed a long-term plan to secure wealth for future generations and to protect the economy from unstable oil prices. So, in 1990, Norway created a special savings account. It is officially called the Government Pension Fund Global, but many know it as the Oil Fund. This fund invests money from Norway's oil and gas resources. Its main goal is to save this wealth for all Norwegian citizens, especially for the future, and to make the economy less dependent on the unpredictable oil market. The fund operates with very strict rules. First, it invests heavily in global stock markets and real estate outside Norway. This means the fund buys small parts of companies all over the world. This strategy helps spread risk and connects Norway's wealth to global economic growth. Second, no more than 3% of the fund's value can be taken out and spent in any single year. This limit helps the fund grow and prevents politicians from spending money quickly for short-term gains, unlike in some other oil-rich countries. Today, the oil fund has grown into the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, holding over $1.5 trillion. The fund owns about 1.5% of all publicly traded company shares globally, investing in over 9,000 companies. This makes Norway's fund the single largest investor in the world's stock markets. The fund's value is so high that it is worth roughly $275,000 for every Norwegian citizen. The income from this fund now safely covers about 20% of the Norwegian government's annual budget. This clever approach gives Norway a strong financial future, making it less vulnerable to oil price changes and ensuring lasting prosperity for its people. 7. Green energy at home, oil for the world. Norway has a very clever plan for its energy, a plan that helps the country at home and makes it important in the world. Inside Norway, people use mostly clean energy sources. The country is full of tall mountains and fast-flowing rivers, which are perfect for making electricity from water. These hydropower stations are very efficient. They produce an amazing 95% of all the electricity Norway needs for its homes, schools, and factories.
This means Norway's daily life runs on power that does not harm the environment. Besides water, Norway is also developing wind power. The long coastline and mountains are very windy places, making them ideal for wind farms. Using these green sources, Norway ensures its own energy needs are met without relying on oil or gas. This choice to use renewable energy for itself is a cornerstone of the country's strategy. Because Norway powers itself with clean energy, it has a lot of oil and natural gas left over. The country then sells almost all of this oil and gas to other nations, especially those in Europe. These countries need a lot of energy to keep their lights on and their businesses running. By selling these fossil fuels, Norway brings in a huge amount of money.
Norway also takes steps to reduce its own people's use of oil. The government has made it easy and attractive for citizens to buy electric cars. They offer good tax deals and other financial help. This has led to a major change. In 2022, about 88% of all new cars sold in Norway were electric vehicles. Today, a large number of cars on the roads, about 1 in every 3, are electric. They get their power from Norway's clean hydro and wind sources, further reducing the country's need for oil. This careful energy plan brings Norway many benefits. Firstly, it gives the country great security. Norway does not depend on other countries for its own energy. It makes its own power. Secondly, it strengthens Norway's economy. All the money earned from selling oil and gas goes into the large National Savings Fund. This fund grows bigger and bigger, making Norway richer for the future and protecting it from global economic changes. Norway has found a way to be green at home and a vital energy supplier to the world at the same time. This strategy helps Norway stay prosperous and strong for many years. 8. Europe's new powerhouse. The war in Ukraine changed things for Europe in 2022. Many countries in the European Union stopped buying oil and gas from Russia. They needed new places to get energy. Norway was close by and had a lot of oil and gas. It quickly became the main energy seller to the EU. Norway's oil and gas exports grew a lot. Before the war, Norway gave about 9% of the EU's oil. After, it gave over 13%. For piped natural gas, Norway's share went from 38% to over 46%. Norway is now the biggest energy supplier to the European Union. This situation brought a lot of money to Norway. Global oil and gas prices went up fast. In 2022, Norway made over $120 billion from its oil and gas. In 2023, it made even more, over $131 billion. This was much more money than before the war. But Norway's importance is not just about oil and gas. In 2023, a company found a giant new deposit of phosphate in southern Norway. It is the biggest reserve of phosphate ever found in the world. Phosphate is very important for making fertilizer for food and also for batteries in electric cars. The company also believes there are huge amounts of titanium and vanadium in the same area. These metals are needed for airplanes, computers, and submarines. This means Norway is becoming Europe's new powerhouse. It is a main source for oil and gas, And soon it can be a big source for important minerals and perhaps even more clean energy in the future. Norway helps Europe rely less on other countries for key resources. What do you think this new role means for Norway and the rest of Europe?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.